Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have vowed to take away your Second Amendment rights through gun bans, gun confiscation, and government regulations. Now, Joe Biden is no longer hiding his real intentions, and we need you to take action now.
Whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle, is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things. But
the Biden administration is coming after your right to own any gun, and we need you to text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221. Joe Biden has already issued executive orders. He is now demanding Congress push through radical gun legislation. You can fight back to stop Joe Biden's gun grab, but you must text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221. Take action to protect your right to keep and bear arms. We urgently need millions of Americans to text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221. Text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, Mike Piwowarski of The Rundown and Arms Room Radio. Mike, thanks for coming by on Thursday again, man.
It's a pleasure, Paul. Always good to see you and all the folks from the Second Amendment Foundation.
So, as we were saying pre-show when we had just a few seconds to talk, man, every time I think they've done everything they can to torque me off, the other side goes and reaches a brand new low. There is a bill that I found out about today coming out of California. They want to, if you have a child in public school in California, there's a bill going forward in the legislature that wants to make it the law that you have to inform the school if you have a firearm. This is, it's none of their darn business, but it's stupidity way above and beyond that, bud.
Yeah, listen. Let me count the ways that this violates my civil rights. Right? First off, like you said, it's none of their darn business. And but let's say they want to get they want to get weird with my child's education. If I put on the form that no, I don't own firearms, and somehow, some reason, this city gets tied in with the State Department of Justice over there. And they could figure out if I'm on the registry list, do I have a firearm registered to me, and I have it. Can they throw my child out because I lied on their form that they have no right to know about anyway? So Paul, we know they have no right to know, but if I say I don't have it when I do, can they go after some sort of morals clause on me as well then?
Well, and my primary concern when I heard about this is, what are they going to do with that data? How can I be certain that they're going to keep that data absolutely locked up, that they're not going to let some 16-year-old gangbanger find out where every person that owns a firearm in that particular neighborhood lives, so they know the good houses to go do the burglaries at?
Oh, well, you know what they're going to do. They're going to take that information and use it against your children. They're going to make your children go through extra screening when they come to school because, my God, they have access to firearms. They must be firearms just laying around your house. Therefore, we want to keep all the other students safe. So if you tell us you have a firearm, your kid's going to go through the metal detectors and get patted down every day, and we're going to search his bags and his lockers every day because it's the only way we can keep the other children safe.
Absolutely. Yeah, and not only that, the extra education the child is going to get because they got to unindoctrinate from your craziness because you're obviously nuts. You're the one that owns a firearm. They're going to make sure that craziness doesn't get passed on to the next generation.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Meanwhile, they have their their city police department, their school police department, school board police department that provides security to the board members, not to the teachers, mind you, to the board members. So they have extra firearms around them to protect them when they come up with these ridiculous ideas. But this is typical for California, Paul. It is literally the royalty there. It is the hierarchy of liberals. We just saw this week, Mayor London Breed, Mayor Garcetti there in Los Angeles, and the governor all at the football games. Nobody's wearing masks because those policies don't apply to us. We're the elite. We don't have to do that. It's not about health and safety. It's about controlling you. It's the same thing with the firearms. I want to know who my subjects are that might be able to rise up against me. And if I can't go into their home and strip their gun away from them, by God, I'm sure going to make sure their kid feels like crap every day coming to school and treat him like a soon-to-be murderer.
Yeah, 100%. If I were in the unfortunate position of having, and I think my audio is a little low. Let me turn this up a little bit here so that there we go. My audio is peaking a little bit low. That's probably a little better. If I were in the unfortunate position where I had a child that was in the California education system, I'd be looking to go anywhere else. But if I couldn't, if I had to stay in California and they were to come at me with this reporting, do you have fires? I'd be really tempted to go one of two different ways. Lie, or tell the truth in exaggeration. I've probably got more firearms in my house than you do in the armory for the National Guard. Just make them terrified of me. And I probably would go the second way.
Right, but it's California. Then you end up with a red flag call being called in on you. Well, he's got so many guns, he must be insane. There's no way he could possibly do anything legal with that amount of firearms. We're going to red flag his butt now. You just listen. I don't get California. Now, here's my prediction for you with California, Paul. Come midterms, on the federal level, House and Senate are going to fall. They're going to be Republican. We know that.
Yes.
And then we're going to have a lame duck presidency for 2 years with, we don't even know who the president's going to be really, right? Do we? But so we'll have 2 years there. California is right now, and as of last year, they're a negative population gain every day. So what does that mean? Every other state in the union, all other 49 states are gaining gaining population every day. California is the only one losing. There's more people. That means there's two factors to remember here. Not only is there more people leaving California than are coming into California, even the illegal immigration running into California is not enough to keep up with the population they're losing. All right. So what's that do? It's part of the workforce, but it takes down the wages because there's lesser wages being made. But they continue to double down on their social programs, continue to hand out free money to these people that are coming into their state illegally.
They continue to push motor voter so they can
right.
count those votes. Yes,
exactly right. So they're losing this year. Guaranteed. Newsom goes to the federal government, says we're poor, we need money. They give it to him. Guess what happens next year when they're no longer in control, when the Democrats are no longer in control in the House and Senate? That means, Paul, you sitting up there in South Dakota, me sitting here in Florida, we're no longer going to have to pay for California's social programs that don't work because they're losing money and going bankrupt. So in 2024, 2023, 2024, they're going to be bankrupt, and the Republican Congress and the Republican Senate is going to tell them, get bent. It's on you. You come up with
Please.
it. We're not bailing you out. You come up with it.
Oh, I hope your crystal ball works. I really hope your crystal ball works. We're starting to get comments coming in here. Unusually, not any from the Facebook side yet, but I'll check on that, see if it's not on my side that the problem is. Let me get this one from Michael over on the YouTube side. He says, hey, Paul, don't you mean indoctrination system? That could very well be that. No, that is especially the closer you get to the Pacific Ocean, it is absolutely an indoctrination system.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we know it's worked its way into the state of Washington. We see it west of the mountains there on the coast, Seattle, Tacoma area, and down through and even Oregon, which used to be at a minimum was a God-fearing libertarian state where they just told listen, both governments, state and federal, we just want you to protect our borders and leave us the crap alone. But that's not even happening there. They've been unfortunate enough to be sandwiched between Washington State and California. So they're sucking it. And you and I have seen it, Paul, also out in Nevada. The wave is starting to come in. The peoples of Vegas, that are there now have brought their Democrat liberal policies with them. The rest of Nevada is struggling against them.
Well, and I've seen this. I lived for quite a while. I lived in San Diego, and I travel. I, like most gun people do, I make the annual trek to Vegas, and I've seen this building for quite a number of years, where Las Vegas is California light and is losing the light bit by bit. When people leave California, that's their first step out quite often.
Yeah.
Is Vegas, and then they move out to the rest of the country. I just I really fear for Nevada. It's step by step becoming closer to California, and that's unfortunate because there's some great areas outside of Vegas that they say California, that LA controls the rest of the state because it's such a huge population center compared to the rest of the state. That is doubly true with Nevada. The more than 70% of the state of Nevada population is in proper Las Vegas, and if you include Metro, it's over 80%. So that's absolutely where Las Vegas goes politically. There goes the entire state.
It's amazing that when states get these giant population centers, and you have the same thing in New York, obviously, as you have there in California going on, that you start to see these movements to either split the state or form 2 or 3 separate states. New York has had it on the table, and we hear about it every year. The people of Long Island and upstate are tired of paying, the mayor's taxes. There in New York City, and it's the same thing in California. They're talking about splitting it in 2 or 3 different sections. And I don't. Why not? Well, why not? Well, we know because you're gonna create one state that's gonna have a big Democrat liberal pull down there in Los Angeles, and they'll have the number of representatives to them, and the rest of the state will be free and conservative. Again, it's just I don't know. I don't know that that's the answer. I don't know how we get to the answer, but it's definitely a big sign of the problem when you get the rest of your state looking at your major populous center and saying, we're done playing ball with you. We're done. Leave us alone. Put up a fence. Do whatever you want. We're done.
And that's California. There's a push, and it almost made the ballot 2 years ago. It may make the ballot in 2024 to separate the state. There is an active in Oregon. There are counties that are actively trying to separate and join Idaho. They don't want to make their own state. They just want to go join Idaho. There are 5 counties.
I saw that. Yep. There's and I've looked at all of these. Interesting. Paul, you never know where the conversation's going to go, right? But looked at all of these. For those to happen, those kind of things to happen is it's going to take a constitutional convention basically to create another state. You're going to have to get 66% of all existing states to approve, plus 75% of Congress to approve that's. I think it's 75% of Congress, might be 66. And a minimum, it's a 66 level, and we know no 66% of anybody's ever going to agree on anything. So where it's good and it's feel good and it's a notice, it really can't happen. The one that can happen that I've looked up is the state of West Virginia. If you look at their constitution, they were created, and it's right in their constitution. They were created out of Virginia. They said to the state government of Virginia, "We're done. We're out." So they didn't have to get permission to leave. They just had to get permission to be accepted into the new place, and that's the state of West Virginia. West Virginia, it was about a year ago, told the people of the western portion of Virginia, the still country portion of Virginia, hey, if you don't like what's going on in Virginia, our Constitution is still good here in the state. All you have to do is get your county to vote you want to leave, and you could become a member of West Virginia. So They could pull counties from the state of Virginia at will without having to involve the federal government.
That's awesome. That's in West Virginia. the U.S. Constitution still lives in West Virginia.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Listen, they've got a Democrat senator there who so believes in the Constitution that half the time he does not vote with the Democrat, compadres up there. He votes with what his constituents want and what the Constitution says.
You know, we complain about, and we're talking, of course, of Joe Manchin. We complain a lot on our side about Rhino's Republican in name only. I halfway want to call him a dino because he has stood up for what he believes is right, and he has said, "Look, we're not going to get rid of the filibuster, and no, some of these ridiculous spending measures, we are not going to bankrupt the country just over this or that. No, I'm not going to do that." And with the 50-50 split in the Senate, he holds a lot of power right now.
He does. I keep joking. I want to get a hat made that says "Manchin America Great Again."
I like that. I just want to make sure.
He's doing it. He's doing it.
All right, and for some reason,
There we go. There's some Facebook action. Hey, Charlie Chambers, how's it going? Talking to us on Facebook. Good to see you, Charlie.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention I had not been getting the comment, and they're still not coming through into my broadcast software, but I did just see Charlie commenting. It still hasn't made that comment. Still hasn't made its way into my broadcast software, but maybe if I refresh this, nope. Oh well, Charlie, we did see your comment. Thanks for watching. For some reason, the only comments that are coming through are on the YouTube side. So if you really want to get a comment into us, go over to YouTube and look us up as Polite Society Podcast on YouTube. We'll get your comment in. One more story I wanted. Go ahead.
Before we jump into the next story, isn't today an anniversary for you, Paul?
It absolutely is. 10 years ago in about 4 hours, 3 hours, I sat
Not that
down.
you're keeping track, you know?
I sat down in the bunk of my truck. I was still a truck driver then. I sat down in the bunk of my truck with a, even then, old laptop, and
Right.
I pushed record for the first time on the Politics and Guns podcast, what eventually became the Polite Society Podcast. We are, 610 episodes later on that now. We've had 20 plus co-hosts move in and out over the 10 years. We've had quite literally hundreds of guests. Again, 610 shows are in the can.
Right.
Plus, I've had other shows branch in and out. We've been on 3 different podcast networks, one of which I helped create. And it has been just the most incredible, amazing ride, and it's the biggest thing for me is it's introduced me into a group of people that yourself among them that I am so lucky to call friends and colleagues, and I'm blessed beyond words by one decision that I chose to make 10 years ago. It's one decision in my life. There are 2 decisions in my life I can say right now with absolute certainty. If I had everything to do over again, would I do that again? Absolutely, positively, yes, in a heartbeat. One is marrying my wife Susan, or asking her to marry
Good for
me.
you. Oh my! I was so hoping that's what you were going to say as number 1. There you go.
And number 2 is deciding to go ahead and open my damn mouth and start the Politics and Guns podcast. It has introduced so many good people into my world and done so many good things to me. And in a not very indirect way, it helped save my life this past spring. So,
Sure. Right. Yeah. Well, listen. Congratulations. 10's a huge number. I mean, especially in the industry of broadcast. Right. It's absolutely amazing. I know we were at SHOT Show this year, and I was there with Earl, my co-host from Arms Room Radio, and somebody asked us how long we'd been on, and and Earl and I had to stop and go back and look through an archive and find out. We have no idea. We're like, was it like 6 or 7? So it turns out we're coming up on our 8th year, and neither one of us had a clue. We're like, you get into this and it becomes addictive. Like you said, you meet the great people. All of you guys from Polite Society podcast on our end, and it's just you just keep going and you just keep trucking along. So it's great. Congratulations on 10, huge number, and hopefully it's another 100 more.
Yeah, I look, and every time I bring up, and I very clearly remember. It's not so much the year milestones. It's when we hit the big milestones of numbers on the podcast. I remember when we were on 400, when we hit our 400 episode milestone on Polite Society podcast, I kept getting questions because at that point there was a really big podcast. I mean, a really big gun podcast. The Gun Dudes had just called it quits. And they were they called it quits at episode 410. And just shortly thereafter that, within a few weeks, I hit episode 400. Excuse me. And people starting to ask me, "Are you going to call it quits?" I'm like, "No, I'm having fun. I'm going to keep doing this." Episode 500 came around, and there was actually, believe it or not, I found out later there was side bets going on among my staff. Whether I was going to call it quits at 500, but no, we're now past 600. I think we did 610 was this past week. There's no plans on setting anything aside. I'm having too much fun. The health issues are finally to where I can see light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm pretty darn sure it's not a train. And things are looking bright, and as a matter of fact, I want to do a little bit of a push before we go on to other things in the show. Coming up on the 19th of this month, if you are in the Western United States, heck, even if you're not and you've got an extra plane ticket laying around because you couldn't go somewhere this past year because of COVID, cash that plane ticket in, get to Phoenix on the 19th. There are going to be a whole bunch of great 2A speakers that are gathering for a pro rights 2A rally at the Capitol building on the 19th. I'm going to be there along with my boss, Alan Gottlieb. I'm going to be helping to broadcast the thing for OpsLens. And so if you absolutely cannot make it, get the OpsLens app and you'll be able to watch the whole thing live. But come be there in person. There's, I think, 29 speakers. It's going to be an absolutely amazing day in Arizona. And I'm more than thrilled that I'm going to be able to jump on a plane, go down there, meet with a whole bunch of my friends, and enjoy the day down there.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event. I know I'm not going to be able to be there. I know it's going to be a great event, though. And I love going to Arizona. I love going out there and listen, the drive in Arizona between all the folks we know and AZCDL out there is just absolutely amazing with what they do. And it's been a year or two. Well, it's been prior to COVID before I even hit the annual conferences there. But it's one of those places where it's a state conference, and we'll travel from Florida to go to the Arizona State Conference because they make such a difference. And the gathering they put together is always so grandiose that you have to attend.
You know, there is a reason that Arizona was one of the first states that got constitutional carry. They are the real serious defenders of the Second Amendment down there.
Yes, they are. Yep. Look them up, folks. Arizona Citizens Defense League, AZCDL. Check them out. They're great stuff they do there.
Get this one up. Mike says, "Congratulations. Hope there's 600 more." Me too. That would mean another 10 years, give or take. That would put me into my 60s and still pushing buttons. Absolutely. Absolutely. I could handle another 1,200 more, maybe even 1,800 more before I actually pack it in for a career. Let's talk a little bit. We're still Firearms News is put out we're still selling we as a country are still buying over 1 million firearms a month. According to numbers by, and my brain isn't working. I'm getting a brain freeze right now. Numbers of national NSSF.
Yep. So they've put out their roughly 1 million a month, and that's 4473s being put out. So that's the federal transaction tracked firearms. There's probably a third of that more of non-regulated transactions going on, which are if they're legal where you are, go ahead and take advantage of them now before the government takes it away from you. But what a huge number. And Paul, all I could think is because I think we put a gun in everybody's hand. I think we came up with the Kennesaw, Georgia formula or the Texas formula. Like when you enter the town, they go, "Nice to meet you. Here's a gun." I think the rest of the country is getting very close to that, and those that are legally able to have one, I think, have one now. And I think what they've done, Paul, is the bug is bit. Just like it's bit you, it's bit me. Well, I got one gun and it's lonely. Let me go get it another one. Well, that revolver's lonely. It needs an automatic to go with it. I can't have an automatic without a pump shotgun. I can't have a pump shotgun without a auto shotgun. And I think that's the cycle they're in. I think all those people that have bought over the last 2 years have discovered the new the new hardware hobby.
Well, and you just said it, bug, because if you've got a gun, you need a bug. A bug meaning backup gun. So yeah.
Yes. Yep. Exactly right. Yeah. And they do that. Realistically, you bought a gun. What you buy a gun for? I bought it for home defense. Okay, great. And now they sit at home and go, well, I got to drive through the part of town where they're doing the peaceful riots, right? Well, I need a car gun.
Mostly
okay.
Peaceful,
That's another
yeah.
gun. Yeah. All right. Well, now I want to have one so when I get out of the car, that's a different gun. So they're making all these trips.
Yeah.
All these trips to the gun store, which is great. Mom and Pop love you.
Oh, yeah. And I want that gun just to impress the guys when I go to the range. That's the fun gun right there.
I finally have one of those. The guys at Lone Wolf Firearms, and I'm not trying to throw a senseless plug out there. These guys make the Gucci Glocks. Well, okay. I call them the Gucci Glocks, the custom Glocks. And I bought one at the Concealed Carry Expo right before the COVID came out. And it's a long slide 45, and I'll have to bring it in next Thursday to show it to you. But it's a great gun, and I love taking it to the range. And that's one where you set it down on the counter in front of you for a good 10 minutes before you shoot it. That way, everybody walks by and goes, "Ooh, what's that? What's that?" Well, let me tell you about my special custom Glock 45.
There you go. I believe in Texas they're called barbecue guns. They're the ones you get the good outside the waistband holster for, and when you go to the barbecue, that's the gun you wear.
Yes, they're very good. Yeah, and that's got to have that's got to be a good leather holster that matches your leather belt and goes with your cowboy boots, because you're going to be in Texas to wear a gun. You better do it right.
Yeah, heck yeah, absolutely. And you got to make sure that you're wearing it prominently, so when you step out and down out of your pickup truck, the sun catches it just right.
Exactly right. Yep.
One last story, because we're down at the bottom of the hour, but I want to get one last story in, and this is from our buddy Tom Knighton over at Bearing Arms. Let me pull this one up here so I get this right. But this was in Minnesota. There was a school, in Minnehuta, in Richfield, Minnesota. On Tuesday, there was a school shooting, which is horrific. It's unfortunate we have any school shootings at all. When there is a school shooting, one would hope the police response is quick. And there was a police response to the school shooting. Unfortunately, they responded to the wrong darn school.
Oh, guys, girls, listen. Listen, it's bad enough. We've got to take, people lying about us and saying bad things about us that are not true. We've got to be better than this. We've got to make sure we go to the right place. And this could end up being an innocent mistake. We'll find out. Dispatcher's got to get the address right. It's got to be a working 911 system. It's got to come through the call takers. It's got to go out over the radio, the MDT, however it gets there. And you've got to go to the right school. You've got to go to the right place for the call. Paul, what this does show and what this does prove again is if we allow teachers and faculty that would normally be able to carry a firearm in their everyday life, they should be allowed to carry it at the school, not just they'd have to take it off at some imaginary line outside where it says gun-free zone. We know that roughly 10 to 15% of the population carries a firearm or is certified to carry a firearm. If you put 10 to 15% of the teachers in schools, allow them to carry their firearms like they protect their family the rest of the day, and let them protect their family at school, this will end it. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, 129 faculty and staff. Florida has about 12% concealed weapons holders amongst adults 21 or over. If they had allowed them to carry their firearms in that school, Paul, you're talking about 15 to 16 teachers that would have had guns on them when that guy walked through the door.
Yep.
Tell me that doesn't stop the fight before it begins.
It absolutely should have. It would have had a chance of doing that at the very least.
Exactly right. Yep. Exactly right.
So,
exactly right.
Yeah, and that's... We are our own first responders, first, last, and always. And where I wanted to go beyond even arming teachers with that is, yeah, they went to the wrong school. That's an oops, and that could be a dispatch. And like you said, that could be a dispatching problem. That could be a computer glitch. That could be a million different things. The fact is, you are your own first responder. And no matter what, you've got to survive until the police get there. You need to use every tool at your disposal to survive until the police do get there. My opinion, the single most effective tool is right here, backed up with what you strap up on your right hip. Well, unless you're left-handed.
Left-handed, yeah. Or you're doing the cross draw with both.
Dual wielding. There you go.
That's it. Exactly right. That's it. I'll be your Huckleberry. Yeah.
All righty, man. We are long. You imagine that. You and I talk too much. Before we get out of here, what's been going on the rundown, bud?
Listen, we do the show over there. We do it every day. Always have a great time. If you get the opportunity, go take a look at yesterday's Groundhog Day show. We had a really fun time with the Groundhog Day show. So I'd ask everybody to go look up the rundown.us and go over and take a look at the Groundhog Day, yesterday's show, the 2nd of February.
Very cool. Everybody, if you just happen to stumble on the broadcast, please remember to like and share the broadcast. We've been growing. We want to continue to grow. And we're not going to pay anybody to advertise the show, so the way we're going to continue to grow is when you go to the range and you're talking with your buddies, say, hey, I happen to catch this really cool news show called The Daily Bullet, and let your friends know about us. That's how we continue to grow. Thank you for watching. Thanks for contributing, everybody. And we're going to go away for now, but come join us tomorrow and every weekday, 5 p.m. Central Time.